what does a 12-year-old orphan, nuns, and an $8 billion privately owned company have in common? What they have in common is a woman named Gabriella Bonjour Chanel. The face may not be familiar to you, but her brand is. She is Chanel. It's known worldwide. She is an icon of fashion, born in 1883. She was born in Paris. She was orphaned at 12. Her mother died. Her father was a peddler and took her to a nunnery in an orphanage. That's where the nuns began to teach her how to sew. And she helped with all the uniforms, with all the clothing, and that began her career as a seamstress. Her first job started when she was 18, left the orphanage, and she began singing in a local pub, where they gave her the nickname Coco. The French word actually meant a kept woman, so she just adapted the name and became Coco Chanel. In 1920, she launched her very first perfume line, Chanel No. 5. It is rumored that it was the 5th fragrance that they had combined that she fell in love with, and thus the number 5. Today, 2019, there's a bottle of Chanel cologne, No. 5, sold every 30 seconds worldwide. Huge, huge brand in itself. In 1925, Chanel designed and released what you and I know today as the little black dress. The little black dress, 100 years later, is still the icon of fashion. And no one with a business savvy or a style savvy would even think about not owning a little black dress. It is the same year that she brilliantly combined a man's style suit with the femininity of a woman's design and cut. Great women like Katharine Hepburn, Marilyn Monroe, so many women have worn her suits, and she was the first woman to actually appear in men's trousers. In 1930, the economic conditions in Europe were very bleak. The economy was falling away, people weren't buying fashion, there wasn't enough money to feed people, let alone buy high-end fashion. So she ended up closing her store. She was very successful, but then also failed due to the economy. In 1930, it just fell apart, everything. In 1939, World War II began, and this changed history forever. It also changed Coco Chanel's life. She fell in love with an officer, but the officer was a Nazi, and this ruined her reputation. She went into self-proclaimed exile in Switzerland, where she began to redesign herself. She called a friend who wrote her memoirs, and at 70 years old, she came back into the market. She endured the criticism, she endured the hatred for being a traitor, although she was never tried as treason. She had really good friends like Pablo Picasso, Winston Churchill, Igor Stravinsky, which all came to her defense when they had talked about her doing treason, which is a criminal and federal offense. At 70 years old, she had the gumption, the drive to reinvent, to come back strong, to overcome all of it. So she went from an orphan to a seamstress, to a singer, to a designer, to world fame, and changed the history as a revolutionary, even seeing today's fashion and designs. So when you go and you buy a brand name, think about who's behind it. Who is the creative mind? Who developed it? What is the history? Because it's pretty phenomenal. Today, 100 years later, greatest fashion still known today, Coco Chanel. Thank you very much. Remember that she was a woman who came from nothing. It is a rags to riches story. It is a victim to victory story. And the only thing she said she ever regretted in her life was the things that she didn't do. Coco Chanel, born in 1883. Thank you.